pumped up for Week 7 on NFL Primetime. We'll take a look at the state of Montana, or is it Allenstown? The 49ers and Cowboys renewing old acquaintances in the Lone Star State. The Giants try to run all over the Eagles and take over sole possession in the NFC East. So stand and be counted, because the Lions may have a quarterback, for Pete's sake. The Steelers try to knock the Saints from the ranks of the unbeaten. Would Houston have a new commander-in-chief? Vinny and the Browns caused headaches for the Bengals. Time to get excited. NFL Primetime is next! Hello once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman. Welcome to Week 7 of NFL Primetime. Some important games. Even though 8 teams were off, we had a nitro game on Thursday. Some interesting action indeed, some interesting results. And we've assembled the usual cast of characters. Tom Jackson, Robin Roberts. Are we ready to rumble? We're ready for some football? Here it is. Whoops, there it is. Let's first get you update on the late scores. 2-minute warning now in Dallas. The Cowboys have held the Niners on their latest drive. They lead by 9, 26-17 in a game that the defense has played much more of a role in than we originally thought. Dallas by 9. 2-minute warning. We'll keep you updated. The Chargers finally scored home touchdowns, as in 2. They lead the Chiefs 14-10, but with just over 3 minutes to go, Joe Montana has the ball for Kansas City on his own 20. We'll keep you posted. A final from Tempe, a shocker if you're a Redskin fan. The Phoenix Cardinals slice and dice the Skins 36-6, the first sweep of the Cards over the Skins since Don Coryell coached them in St. Louis in 1974. Week 7, the Oilers and the Patriots. Now, who would have thought that in Week 7, these two teams would have the same record, but they did at 1-4. And for some added zest to the game, it was not Warren Moon against Drew Bledsoe, as everyone who bought tickets in the offseason thought it would be. It was Commander Cody Carlson against Scott, won't you let me take you on a Seahawks. But here we go, each team looking for their second win. Warren Moon on the bench after that horrible night for the Oilers, and everyone, Moon and the Oilers, in Buffalo. Drew Bledsoe also on the sideline. So it's Scott Seahawks, who engineered a win last week at Phoenix, hitting Greg McMurtry. Early on, Seahawks looked sharp. Then the give to the big guy, number 32, Leonard Russell, for 11 yards. But Sean Jones comes through and blocks a field goal attempt by Scott Sisson, stymieing the Patriots. So no score in the first quarter. Seahawks goes back to work. The tight end, Ben Wintercoats, and he rumbles for 37 yards. Same drive, 4th and 1. Remember how successful Parcells used to be with the Giants in 4th down situations? Well, with the Patriots, he's been successful as well. What does he call? A give to Leonard Russell, but stacked up by the Oiler defense. They hold. Cody Carlson making his 14th start. He's 8-5 as a starter going in. Vincent Brown, oh, he had the pick, but he couldn't hold on. Second quarter, Carlson gets help from his defense when Sean Jones, you saw him block the field goal, sacked Seahawks at the 1, forcing a punt from deep in their zone. Now second quarter, but on the same drive, Carlson to Low White and the 7 Dwarfs, 10-yard completion. Tommy, the Patriots didn't put the pressure on.
Yeah, here you see they came with a 4-man rush most of the day and allowed Carlson and then Moon time to find second and third receivers.
Carlson decides to run it in. Good coverage downfield, but Carlson recognized that he had the flag. He gets it, touchdown. He does suffer a groin injury on the play. The Oilers lead 7-0. He would aggravate it in the team's next series because uh-oh, he's down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's over. It's over. Bring in Warren Moon. Groin injury for Carlson will be reevaluated on Wednesday. So Moon back in the saddle. Hits Webster Slaughter for 7 yards. Makes a nice cut. Then with 20 seconds left in the half, Moon to Slaughter, 8-yard touchdown, 14-0 Houston at the half. Same score, third quarter. New England looking for some spark. The quick pass to Kevin Turner for 23 yards. Same drive. Look at Kevin Turner with a 7-yard catch and a touchdown. 14-7, the P-Men within a touch. The Oilers back on the move. Lorenzo White, 6 tough yards. Good job at the line on this drive, Tom.
Yeah, this is what a running back wants you to do. Create a lane. You see the offensive line of the Oilers doing a good job of cutting off the Patriots, and then Lorenzo White getting all he can out of it.
And then Moon, big rush this time, but he finds Slaughter for a second touchdown. 21-7 the Oilers after 3. Warren very economical with the fog. This is the morning shot with the fog clear for the Patriots. Their offense looked in the fog. They were hoping to get it going, but Steve Jackson, one of the guys torched in that playoff game at Buffalo. Took him a half a year, but the big revenge. It's a touchdown. 28-7. Parcells' club adds a later touch, but it's not going to be enough. And Houston, well, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and they did at New England, beating the P-Men 28-14. Despite 280 yards passing for Scott Seafuels, they did pick him off 3 times. 9 catches for Webster Slaughter. Now, obviously, in talent, Tommy, the Oilers are a much better team than New England Patriots. I mean, Bill Parcells would tell you that. But still, the way the Oilers have been playing, you think they could attack them. But they were surprising, weren't they?
Well, I think certainly what we've seen in the past few weeks are teams coming with a 7-man rush, trying to put the pressure on the quarterback from both of those short corners. Today, the New England Patriots chose to rush only 4 people, 5 at the most. It allowed the quarterbacks of the Oilers to have the extra time to take the extra looks, and it just made them be very successful offensively.
Well, they also were successful on not turning it over. I mean, that has undone the Oilers all this season. But as we go inside the numbers, we can show you that the Oilers in their first 5 games on the year were, well, they were not very careful with the football. Now, were they? They were sacked 17 times. They turned it over 21 times. Today, though, no turnovers, only sacked once. You do that, it usually works. It did today. The Oilers are 2-4. When we return, the Eagles and the Giants, pair of 4-1 teams that top the NFC East. That's coming up a little bit later. Who would hit harder? And coming up even later in prime time, the big head knocker in the NFC, the Cowboys and the Niners. We'll be back.
NFL Prime Time is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
We'd like to welcome those of you that have just watched the Cowboys beat the 49ers. The Niners ended deep in the Cowboys' zone, but Dallas had the 9-point lead. They held on 26-17. One game still going. We told you Joe Montana had the Chiefs driving. Guess what? Marcus Allen scored his 2nd touchdown of the game. Just under 2 minutes to go at the Murph. The Chiefs now lead the Chargers 17-14. And funny we should mention Joe, because coming up later in this edition of Prime Time, could Joe lead him to victory over the Chargers? He's certainly done his best, hasn't he? And Costa Verde. How did that scenario work out for the Browns? I tell my class that the Seahawks and the Lions were 5th-place teams. Right. And you figure, who cares? They're playing each other. But actually, 3-2 each, these 2 teams go in places.
Yeah, it really meant something, and it was quite surprising. They've surpassed what they did last year. Not much history, though, between these two, but what little there is really does favor Seattle. After seeing Andre Ware start the last 2 games, Rodney Peete was back at the helm for the Lions, and he wanted to make the most of his chance. But first things first. Like the opening kickoff, Mel Gray out of the end zone, and he fumbles after being hit by Michael Bates, the speedster with a bronze medal for the 200 meters. What do you think about this, TJ?
Well, great hit by Bates. Great job of getting down the field. But what's the definition of the ground causing a fumble if that is not it?
I don't know. That's a good question. How about another rookie? Rick Meyer, 3rd and goal, out of the pocket. To Kelvin Martin between George Jameson and Dan Owens, 7-0 Seahawks. Tom Flores wondering, could the Seahawks win 4 in a row for the first time since '86? Well, as Barry Sanders goes, the Lions go, and he didn't go anywhere here, being brought down by Terry Wooden. Sanders again, nothing, brought down by Natu Tuatagaloa. Rodney Peete saying, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. And Sanders would respond, still in the first, 2nd and 8. Peete completes to Sanders, who dodges Wooden and is brought down by Robert Blackman. Sanders has caught at least 1 pass in 17 straight games. Sanders now around the right side. And finally brought down by Eugene Robinson after 14 yards and a first down. The quarter changes. We go the other way. Pete to Herman's Moore for the 13-yard touchdown. We're tied at 7. And not a good day, though, for Meyer or Seattle. Meyer back, overthrows Paul Green. So what about Seattle's leading rusher, TJ?
Well, Chris Warren had a horrible day today. 15 carries, 37 yards. Here he's swarmed by William White, Ray Crockett, and Dennis Gibson.
That tough defense. He's not going anywhere. And Tom Flores is a little bit worried at this point. Meyer again, 3rd and 20. He gets nailed and lost it. It's intercepted by William White. Meyer's 5th interception of the year. He was picked off 3 times in this game alone. Lions rolling again. And that Pete Herman Moore connection works again. A great catch over the middle. And brought down by Dwayne Harper. Then Moore again. Over the middle. You got to love this, TJ. He fights his way into the end zone. 14-7 Lions.
You said it, Robin. A nice slant to Herman Moore, but then he's that Jerry Rice-style receiver. Big, strong, tough, can run through people and get into the end zone.
He is tough to bring down. All in the first half. 8 catches, 98 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Herman Moore. That speedster, Michael Bates, thinking back. Could he have another great play on special teams? Lions' first possession of the second half, up 14-10, Mel Gray would redeem himself, taking the kickoff from John Casey. He is gone. Patrick Hunter tries to get, look at Casey, number 4. We love to see this. He's hustling, but 95 yards. Mel Gray goes the 3rd time. He has returned a kickoff for a touchdown. He's also returned 3 punts for a touchdown. 117 yards in return yardage today for Mel Gray. Rodney Peete, solid numbers in his return as a starter. 14 of 26 for 157 yards. The final, 30-10. Lions with a victory. It's just the 2nd time in 6 meetings that Seattle has lost to the Lions. They're now 0-4 when coming off a bye week. Herman Moore, he finished with 8 catches for 98 yards. The Lions 4-2 and alone atop the NFC Central. Boomer, of course, everybody else was off.
The Norris division. Right. That's right. It's nice to be the only one playing and move ahead first.
It helps.
And they are tough at home. I mean, that's a tough place to go in to win. I mean, teams a lot better than Seattle have gone in and struggled in that place.
It's tough.
They do well there. All right, the Browns and the Bengals. And speaking of doing well, one thing the Bengals have done is beat the Browns at Riverfront. They've beaten them 5 in a row. Now, Cincinnati began the season scoring 14 points in the first quarter at Cleveland. Now, when Cleveland came back to win, it was a blow from which the Bengals have yet to recover. And, oh, by the way, today, Cleveland started, not Bernie Kosar, but they started my cousin Vinny Testaverde at the helm for the Browns. As Bernie Kosar, sidelines, watching his friend, fellow alum from Miami, Vinny Testaverde. In the first half, Testaverde throws to Juan Wolfley for 6 yards. Then it's complete to Leroy Horta. Play action for Vinny. Good-looking play for 7 yards to Hort. Then on 2nd and 10, the screen to touchdown Tommy Vardell, who rumbles with those big shoulder pads for 28 yards. And yes, he does score a touchdown. 7-0 Browns. Cleveland had the running game going, as they really like to do. Randy Baldwin cuts outside. Picks up 7. Then it's Baldwin again, weaving his way through for another 7 yards. And if you do the work, I mean, you should eventually get the reward, should you not? So, instead of running it, Vinny looks for Baldwin. The swing to the right. Where's the defense? Oh, there it is. Makes the cut. 14-0 Browns. What's going on, Tom?
Yeah, here if we take a replay, there are 3 Bengals right in the center of your screen on 1 receiver. That opens up the coverage for one-on-one outside to Baldwin. He gets one-on-one with anyone. That's usually going to be a TD.
Cleveland defense getting it done today as well. David Klingler hit from behind by Clay Matthews. Michael Dean Perry, number 92, picks up the fumble. Klingler would leave the game with a bruised lower back. Questionable for next week's game at Houston. But back to Cleveland. Vinny Testaverde finds Brian Heat in the kitchen for 1 yard, and it's 21-0 Cleveland. Vinny on the day, not a lot of yards, and actually below 50%, but, hey, 3 touchdowns that he threw very early in the first 20 minutes. Bengals having problems. This was Klingler under pressure. This time he missed. And the running game didn't work either. I would say not. Harold Green had 8 carries for 12 yards. Same result. What's happening, Tommy?
Well, as you take a look here, you can't run the short plays when on this kind of a down. Here, 2nd down and 15. You've got too many Browns filling the lanes, too many Browns outside. too many Browns everywhere.
Now, you know what the problem is with the Bengals? Their coach, David Shula, has better speed than the rest of the team. Look at him beat them all into the locker room at halftime. First half, though, one bright spot for the Bengals. Tim Crumryan has it. He battled back from the serious injury. Hits Vinny. Fumble. The Bengals recover. Eventually, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, fumbling. Vinny was shaken up and stays in the game. The Bengals do capitalize on the miscue. Jay Schrader, now at quarterback for the injured Klingler. To Jeff Query, touchdown, 21-7. Second half, kind of uneventful. Vardell to Mark Carrier. The double reverse for the 15-yard score, 28-10 Browns. And this kind of sums it up because only 34 yards rushing and 14 carries for the Bengals. They were on ice. Once again, they still remain the only team yet to win in the NFL this year, 194 yards of offense. And the Browns going to win it 28-17, their first win in Cincinnati in 6 years. I mean, Harold Green, 12 yards, Fenner, 11. I think you get the picture. But Tommy, we combine the Cleveland highlights with the Detroit highlights. I mean, these are two teams that, oh, by the way, went into the day at 3-2. Oh, by the way, they were in first place, but they had big quarterback controversies. How do we think they both did, with Vinny playing and Pete playing?
Well, I certainly think that Vinny Testaverde playing well now could create a very nasty situation with the Cleveland Browns. Kosar, the big contract that he has, he's not going to be satisfied sitting on the bench. We're going to have to watch this one play out as the season goes on because you have to have your doubts about Cleveland wanting to trade Bernie Kosar. They're going to need two good quarterbacks to get them through the season. As for the Detroit Lions and their quarterback controversy, I say let Rodney Peete play for a month. Let's see if he improves, if he's the guy that you need to get you to the playoffs.
We're looking for a Cinderella team here this year, and we were hoping Seattle might be it after 2-14. A little disappointed with the way they played today against Detroit, but they know they've got some growing up to do, and Meyer's going to have games like that. Hey, they're 3-3 after 6 games.
Good defense will help.
Yes, that's for sure. But Detroit, it was their day today. As we go inside the numbers, tell you what, it's kind of been a bookend season in the two Browns-Bengals games. For Cincinnati, the first quarter of the 8 quarters they've played, and the last 2 are great. The problem is the middle 5 quarters when the Browns have beaten them 48-7, and hence the Browns sweep the season series. When we return, the lone undefeated team in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints, against the very hot team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who would be hotter. The hitting was fierce. We'll go to Three Rivers in a moment.
What kind of company would be
Montana leading them down the field. Joe is 4-0 in games that he started. The Chiefs now 5-1 atop the AFC West in good shape. They beat the Chargers 17-14. The Chargers drove to about midfield, turned it over on downs, and that was it. We'll have highlights a little bit later on. The New Orleans Saints, the lone undefeated team in the NFL after 6 weeks at 5-0. But today they went into a hornet's nest to Three River Stadium, where the Steelers have been a hot ball club. They've won their last 3, and they're really starting to assert themselves. Don't believe us? Well, then watch this. Saints knowing they're in Steeler country. Second play from scrimmage from New Orleans. Wade Wilson hasn't thrown an interception in 107 passes. Oops. Rod Woodson with the deflection off Derek Brown, and he could go all the way with blocking. 63 yards, 7-0 Steelers, 2 plays in. Still first quarter. Wilson looks for Patrick Newman, and oh, what a pick by Rod Woodson, his 7th of the year.
And this is what makes him the best cornerback in the NFL. Look at the concentration and the great catch with the hands. No receiver could have done that any better, Chris.
Steelers would capitalize. They fake the back around, then the swing the other way to Barry's Foster. He loggers his way in for 20 yards at the touchdown. 14-0 the Steelers. Wade Wilson tries to bring the Saints back. He's had a great year to the rookie year. And Deion Figures, another rookie who has figured prominently for Pittsburgh, recovers. Saints had turned the ball over only 4 times in the first 5 games. Today, 5 times. Mora. Jim needs some help today. Wilson had trouble, partly because he, too, was off. Overthrow to Early, underthrow to Turner, misfire here. Wade Wilson, who's been great, 6 of 23 for 85 yards and 3 picks. Ouch, bad. Steelers running backs, well, Barry Foster has had 10 100-yard games in his last 11 at home. Here he rumbles for 20 yards up the gut against the Saints. Then watch Foster. He barrels, but he also can see. I mean, this is the year we're learning he belongs in the elite to the NFL for running backs. 12 yards on that one. left with a slight shoulder problem after 75 yards. But don't worry. The Steelers put in someone else, Leroy Thompson. Here he goes on the inside handoff for 9 yards. And Tommy, watch the block.
If you're going to run the ball against the Saints, you got to block Ricky Jackson. There you see it at the top of the screen. Duval Love just engulfs him to create a lane for Leroy Thompson.
And Thompson takes the handoff from O'Donnell. Look at him scamper outside the left side. For 25 yards, he slips, still going. Thompson, oh, Foster didn't get 100. Well, I will for 101 yards. Don Capers, Steelers defensive coordinator, used to coach the DBs of the Saints, so maybe they had some inside info. Well, Greg Lloyd had some inside info. Look at the effort. He knocks Wilson down. Kevin Green, yeah, he had a monster game against the youngster William Meatrope.
Yeah, and Kevin Green knows every trick in the book. He had set William Rope up with a great outside rush, and here he just used the power rush right there to go and get the sack.
And then it shall be a leave-on. Levon Kirkland crushes Wilson. Kevin Green recovers. And like a 91, rumble like a big fullback. You think he's fired up? Steelers defense, 5 sacks, 3 picks, 2 fumble recoveries, kind of like the steel curtain days. This sets up Tom Zach coming in relief of O'Donnell. When you're hot, you're hot. It's tipped into the hands of Eric Green, 37-0. Mike Buck, a couple of mop-up touchdowns for the Saints to get them on the board. But when it was all over, a big win, their 4th in a row for the Steelers, and gone from the ranks of the unbeaten are the Saints. 37-14, the Steelers with 201 yards rushing against the New Orleans Saints, and 101 of those from Mr. Thompson. So, I mean, Tommy, the Steelers were 0-2. Well, first of all, Neil O'Donnell, he played well, but he was more impressed with his own defense.
I'd hate to play against our defense. Those guys are intimidating. You know, it's everyone coming at you. Sometimes it looks like there's 20 guys on that field out there. Everyone's all over the place.
I think overall we played well. We swarmed to the ball. You know, we're getting interceptions. We're making big plays, getting fumbles, getting the sacks on the quarterback. And we just everything right now on our defense and really on our offense. Everything's clicking.
You just make the connection with the fans. I feel like I'm in WWF or something. I mean, they're screaming and hollering. It's a blessing to have the crowd behind you and playing right there beside you is a wonderful feeling.
I'll tell you what, it is a wonderful one. WWF. I'll tell you what, they're playing like an NFC team is the way the Steelers are. And obviously they got some players, Tommy, they're physical, but Bill Cowher is a heck of a motivator, and I think he really relates to this team. 0-2, they were in a little bit of trouble. They're not in trouble anymore.
And Cowher, a former defensive coordinator, so he knows what wins championship games. The Steeler team has given up 2 TDs in 14 quarters of football now, and both of those TDs, as Chris said, were mop-up TDs. I talked this morning about the guys who key that. Greg Lloyd, Rod Woodson. Today, the first quarter that Rod Woodson had, and we'll go over the numbers later at the end of the show, it was absolutely, he played a whole career in 1 quarter of football.
You know what's impressive about Woodson? How many of the top cornerbacks in football, I mean, you don't even throw over there. He's got 7 interceptions in 6 weeks, and you know they don't throw to his side. That second interception we saw, I mean, for a guy that good to get that many picks in the middle of October, I think that speaks for itself, Tommy. Tell you what else speaks for itself. When you run the ball, and if you don't give up rushing yards, this is usually a good equation. Today, the Steelers ran for 201 in their 4 wins. They've allowed a total now, that's a total of 156 yards. Well, that ought to work. When we return, there are 4-1 teams in the NFC East, squared off of the Meadowlands. Eagles, Giants. And the Giants tried to rumble over the Eagles like they rumbled over the Skins.
I ordered pepperoni.
The Jets have just taken a 30-0 lead over the Bills in the second quarter. This just in. I know they don't play till next week, but this time the Jets are trying to build up that lead even earlier than they have for the rest of the season. We'll see what really happens next week. We know that what happened this week in the Meadowlands. You need a yuck every now and then. The Philadelphia Eagles were visiting the New York Giants, each team at 4-1. Now, no matter who's been a quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, they've had the Giants' number. They've beaten them 5 in a row. They've won 9 out of their last 10. Usually off great athletic plays by offense, defense, special teams, everybody involved. Today, Dan Reeves got his first crack at trying to beat through that Eagles stranglehold over the Giants. Keith Millard getting pumped up literally for this game. The Eagles' first defensive play, though, Double team by Brian Williams and Bob Cratch. Lewis Tillman gets tackled, but Millard gets bent over backwards. Diagnosis of sprained left knee. X-rays were negative, but he was gone for the day. 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Bubby Brister gone for the day, hit by Corey Miller. Right ankle rolls under him. It's a sprained ankle. We'll wait and see. But Bubby was gone, and so a guy signed only October 4th. Ken O'Brien got the job for the Eagles. Dan Reeves, well, Bill Sims has had the job all year. Look at him dumping off to Dave Meggett for 8 yards. Then Sims hits Aaron Pierce, one of his tight ends. A great catch, stays in bounds for 17. Then it's back to Meggett. And look at that little Meggett run. He evades a couple of tackles until Wes Hopkins knocks him out of bounds.
Yeah, and then as they scored a touchdown, Phil Sims here going to Ed McCaffrey. Look at the time that he had to throw the ball in the red zone. Just too much.
Too much time, Phil will kill you. He did it there, 7-3, Chiba. Swing kickoff, by Sikahema. Nailed by Corey Widmer and Corey Raymond. Too many Coreys on the play. Vaughn Hebron takes the handoff. Nailed after 3 yards. That's a fumble. At the bottom of the pile, LT. Richie Kotite watches the ref signal the other way, getting tight. Phil Sims back to pass. Hits Mike Sherrard. You want to see a good play? Look at him avoid the hit. Turn this way. Whoop. Turn that way. There goes Mike Sherrard. Looking as good as he has in years. But, oh, it wasn't the leg. Fortunately, he's trained a hip on the plate. MRI tomorrow. He didn't return. But Sims did to Howard Cross. Howard barrels down to the 1 for 14 yards. And then on the next touchdown, Tom.
Something the Giants have always done well. Watch Kenyon Rashid lead Lewis Tillman. And I mean, Lewis stayed right on his back and dove right into the end zone for that TD.
14-3 Giants. Minute 4 to go in the half. Sims floats to Chris Callaway, but it can't be. Howdy, because even though it's pass interference, he didn't catch it, so he can't do it. Sims looking for Callaway. It's Heidi, incomplete. Reeves says, so what? The Giants are up by 11 at the half, and we're going to go for more in the third quarter. Sims from the shotgun. Picked off by Mark McMillan. Now watch this. He wants the lateral to Eric Allen. No! Oh, he did it. Cross recovers for the Giants. Richie Kotite says, we've won on those plays, but not there. So, Sims to Mark Jackson. Ball tip. McMillan picks this one off. Lateral? No, I don't think so. Lateral? No, I don't think so. Good return? Yeah, I think so. 17 yards. But the Eagles couldn't convert the interception. 10 minutes to go in the game. Ken O'Brien. Picked off by Corey Miller. Continues to impress. Miller runs crossfield. Had a couple of sacks and a pick. Giants fans fired up. Team looking to go 5-1. Lewis Tillman untouched into the end zone, 21-3. Now think about this. What's wrong with this picture? Meadowlands. Former Jet Ken O'Brien to former Giant Mark Bavaro for a touchdown for Philadelphia. Somehow that's crazy, and what's worse, former Giant Matt Barr, extra point for Philadelphia. It was weird. Rodney Hampton, well, would you say that Lewis Tillman has more than done his share filling in? I would guess so. 58-yard run for Tillman before he's finally run down by Eric Allen. Tillman, 20 carries, 169 yards. The most for a Giant back since Joe Morris ran for 181 back in 1986. So it's the Giants all alone at the top of the NFC East. The Giants beat the Eagles by the score of 21-10. And afterwards, the Giants fired up.
Star players on offense, and then defensively, you're just not as dominant as you used to be, you know, across the board. And it's just tough to win, you know, under these circumstances.
Where did that
very tough. What do you mean, where did it go? Don't ask no trick questions.
No, I'm just saying today, the intensity and the
have you seen that dominance at all this year? Tell me.
No.
Have you? Okay,
not
so
from the line.
okay, so then why you ask me where's it gone?
Well, the Giants were fired up. The Eagles, obviously. I mean, this was a nice start for them, but it's kind of gone the other way. First of all, Lewis Tillman, he broke Walter Payton's records at Jackson State. A little early to say he's going to break Walter's records in the NFL, but still, if he goes like this, it's pretty good as a backup for the Giants, isn't it?
Yeah, and Chris, I think you make a good point. People always talk about a quarterback guru as far as coaches are concerned. Well, when I think about Dan Reeves, I think about Sammy Winder, Gaston Green, Bobby Humphrey, all guys who he was able to get 1,000 yards for during a season to send those guys to the Pro Bowl. Here, Rodney Hampton hurt, Lewis Tillman fills in. You already gave him the numbers. It's amazing what he's able to do with the running game when he puts his mind to it.
Yeah, 100 yards. Skins are now today the best since '86. And you really got a feel for Philadelphia. I mean, 2 years ago when Randall got hurt, they went through McMahon and Gable and Kemp, Pat Ryan. They even signed David Archer. Now they got Bubby. He's hurt to Ken O'Brien. Who do you sign? Vlasic, Tupa, Jack Concannon, King Hill. I mean, Norm Snead. I'm not trying to make a joke of it.
Right, though.
It's too bad. They had something going, and they don't deserve all this after everything else they've gone through and had the 4-0 start. But now they're 4-2. Giants rushing against the Eagles in that 10-game spurt in which the Eagles won 9. Giants averaged 78 yards a game. Today, with the big game by Tillman, 210 yards. When we return, big game between the Cowboys and the Niners. We'll show you what happened.
The passion is...
They've struggled under Joe Bugle, and you figured the only place they wouldn't get healthy would be against the Washington Redskins. But I can't figure the season anyway.
Don't even try. You know, thanks to a win at RFK in Week 2, the Cards had a shot to sweep their NFC East rivals for the first time since 1974. Of course, the Cardinals hadn't won since Week 2, and Washington hadn't won since the Monday night opener against the Cowboys oh so long ago, wasn't it? Mark Rippon's club lost 4 in a row, but instead he gets in hot water, not a quick start. He gets sacked by Freddie Joe Nunn, a fumble, and the Cards recover. We're going to be talking about the big and the small today. The small is 5'8" Johnny Bailey, and look at him catch the ball and fight to the 20-yard line, and he's only 190 pounds. Could the Cards capitalize with Steve Berline at the helm? Berline is picked off in the end zone by Tom Carter. No offense, TJ, but I'll let you talk about the big of it.
Robin here, Eric Swan, 295 pounds plus. He was huge today. Look at him force Ricky Irvin's left just by pushing his man out of the way. That's great size and strength by Eric Swan. Then look at the pass rush. Look at him. First tackle Swan there. Moves mighty good for a big man. And actually forces a fumble right there. And then the great pass rush by Eric Swan right there.
He was really unstoppable today, all 300 pounds of him. Cards finally get it going on offense, up 6-3 in the second. Berline tosses it to Anthony Edwards for a 49-yard gain down the 8-yard line. But take a look at this. It looked good there. It's going to look really great when you take a look that the ball was actually tipped, but great concentration there by Anthony Edwards. Next play, Berline drops back and finds Ricky Prohl at the 1. Can the Cards break through? The rookie, Garrison Hurst, goes left, and he gets in. 13-3 Cards at the half. Bugle may save his job after all. Garrison Hurst, not good news here at all. In the third, he runs left, and he twists his left knee, the same one he hurt in college. See it again. It could be that anterior cruciate. He would not return in the game with a sprained left knee. But oddly enough, this seemed to fire up the Cards. They would catch fire as Berline goes deep for a wide open, twisting Ricky Prohl. A 42-yard score, 20-3 Cards. And then size takes over. Keith Rucker just takes care of Ricky Irvins. And then it's only fitting. Go on with your bad self. Swan with the capper, the safety, making it 22-3 at that point. And the Cards go on for the victory by a final of 36-6. Washington has been outscored 77-13 in their last 2 games. Ricky Prohl, 5 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. Ron Moore, 13 carries, 80 yards, and the score. It is a 4th straight game that Ricky Prohl has scored a touchdown. 5 straight losses now for Washington. Their worst losing streak since they began 1981 at 0-5, and that just so happened to be Joe Gibbs' first year as the head coach.
Well, Richie Pettibone remembers that one,
Sure
but
he does.
boy, it's a far cry from that opening Monday night. Hard one to figure. I know Richie's scratching his head for sure. And the Cardinals, not since Air Coryell.
2 victories, both against Washington.
Unreal,
Go figure that.
unreal. Well, two things we can figure out, Robin. The Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, big-time contenders. Last year, they met in the NFC title game, which, as everybody knows, Dallas won at the stick 30-20, and it proved that Dallas belonged with the NFL elite. This year, San Francisco going back to Dallas, trying to prove that they belong with the elite. Emmitt Smith had a 100-yard game in the playoffs last year against the Cowboys, but it's a fumble. Eric Davis picks it up, and it's the Niner defense that converts. Touchdown, 47 yards, 7-0 San Francisco.
Yeah, and it's a great job by John Johnson here of stripping the ball from Emmitt Smith. As you watch the replay here, he grabs him, pulls him back to the defender, and then is able to strip the ball out. It's a great play to force that fumble.
And Davis converts for the touchdown. But the Niners couldn't keep it going because Martin Harrison just rails John Jett. 2 signings, by the way, the last week for Dallas. Elvis Patterson here and Joe Fishback. Both special teams, outstanding players. That signing paid off right there.
Chris, you got to be smarter, though, than to lower your head and run into the kicker without even trying to avoid him.
Well, Steve Young avoided the rush to Brent Jones. Oh, he can't come up with it. Everett with the hit. Young knows they missed the opportunity. The 49ers only did 10-3. Troy Aikman had some trouble early. Niners defense played well. Novacek dropped it here. Then the Moose is on the loose. Darryl Johnson, but the throw's a little low, and a hit there. And Novacek drops another. Jimmy Johnson says, well, I better go for the field goal. Eddie Murray converted it. It's 10-6 San Francisco. Dallas D now. Stripped Steve Young of the ball. Haley made the hit. Darren Smith made the recovery, but what did Charles do
Well,
here?
Haley made the hit in the form of a kick. There you see the nice leg whip right there. And then the second kick after the ball is out, making sure it's out, Chris.
Yeah, the kick was up and good. Aikman passes to Urban, tiptoes to the 1, sets up Darryl Johnson with the lead block for Emmitt Smith. And it's 13-10, the Cowboys in the lead. Then the Michael Irvin show between 3 defenders. And Irvin, you know how powerful he is, Tommy.
Yeah, you watch Michael Irvin run this pattern, gets on Magruder, gives him a nice little push, gets the separation. He's just bigger than most defenders are usually used to dealing with out on the corner.
Well, Magruder was put in a tough spot because Don Griffin, their best corner, went out early with a dislocated left shoulder, so Magruder had to try and guard Irvin. Didn't work. 9 receptions in the first half, 12 overall. Another 100-yard game for Michael Irvin. The Cowboys lead at 16-10. Emmitt Smith, a 6-yard burst up the middle. Then off a pitch, he cuts soft left tackle for another 6-yard burst. That sets up Emmitt as a decoy, and as Mort told you on game day, Alvin Harper becoming a big play guy along with Irvin, 36 yards. Then in the end zone, Harper has it, but Magruder knocks it away, or did he, Tommy?
Well, Magruder gets the arm out and gets the pull right there. Should have been an interference penalty. Wasn't called.
And Eddie Murray ends up missing a field goal. Eddie's been excellent for Dallas, but here, missed a chance to put him up by 9, so it's still a 6-point game. Jimmy says, it's all right. Mark Logan perhaps runs as well, if not a little better, than Tommy Rathman. Rathman, of course, a great blocker, but Logan ran well today. This is a 40-yard run, dragging Kevin Smith. Then Jerry Rice with Young out there for a block, or tried to, 19 yards. Then Steve Young to his gritty tight end, the Pro Bowler Brent Jones. 80-yard drive, longest drive of the day for either team. 17-16 San Francisco. Late third quarter, Russell Maryland, the strip of Logan. Tony Casillas recovers. Dallas in business. Up top to Michael Irvin. 36-yard touchdown, beating Magruder. 23-17, boom, Dallas.
In addition to all the other talents that Michael Irvin has, look at the tremendous concentration to bring that ball back in what looks like on the 3rd try.
Kenneth Gant and Michael Irvin saluting. Key moment. Niners set up for a field goal. Klaus Wilmsmeyer can't handle this snap. He's from Louisville, Tom. Dallas recovered. A big turnaround at this point. 49ers then done in by penalties. Unsportsmanlike conduct. And then on the after the interference call, then Fagan penalized for a late hit on Aikman. Leads to a field goal, 26-17. Last gasp, 3 minutes ago for the 49ers. 4th and 7. Young tackled from behind by the handyman, Jimmy Jones. Jerry Jones ecstatic. Steve Young, well, he knows the Niners have fallen to 3-3. Had a chance to pick up ground on the Saints, but they could not do it. The Saints lost, but so did the Niners. Dallas wins it by the count of 26-17, and really, I think defense, Tommy, did a better job here, certainly for San Francisco, than they thought. The turnovers kind of set up Dallas for their scores, and then too much Michael Irvin, 12 receptions, over 103 straight weeks.
Well, I think Dallas was obviously the stronger ball club today, but I pay attention to that second to the last drive for the 49ers. They self-destructed in the form of a botched field goal. You come back, you have 2 penalties worth 30 yards, which gets Dallas a field goal and eventually eliminates you from any chance of victory that you may have had.
Yeah, because you're down that very un-49er-like sort of development.
Yeah.
And they got to go back to the drawing board. Now, although they played pretty well at Dallas, not good enough. Boy, 3-3. It took them the entire season, including the playoffs, to lose 3 games last year. 100-yard games? Well, we told you about Lewis Tillman. Barry Sanders, we've seen his name before. Leroy Thompson, welcome aboard for the Steelers. Oh, by the way, all 3 guys run winning teams. When we return, the legend lives on. Joe Montana, late again.
Now,
Chargers in the first round of the playoffs. The Chargers waxed them 17-0 at the Murph. Joe Montana, though, in the saddle this year for Kansas City. He plays the par 4s, as we've said. This is a long par 4 at San Diego. But when Joe plays, usually good things happen for everyone involved. Bobby Ross knows that. No touchdowns at home for the Chargers in '93, even though they won both of their home games. John Freese goes deep to Anthony Miller with a beautiful pass. He beats the double coverage. It's 84 yards. Touchdown, lightning bolts. But wait. Hold San Diego.
Yeah, you watch Neil Smith trying to get a rush, and Harry Swain just grabbed him, and that's what caused the penalty.
Joe Montana rolls left, and he finds Marcus Allen. Touchdown! Career touchdown number 102 for Marcus Allen. He appears to be loping, but then Marcus fakes him.
Yeah, he's done that to me a number of times when I was playing. He lulls you to sleep, and then he gives you the sprint.
Well, this guy's never going to lull you to sleep. Natron refried Means goes 17 yards, but wait. It's holding on the Chargers. 3rd and 8, John Freese. Incomplete, but...
Yeah, here, dumb move by Neil Smith right there at the top of the screen. Just venting a little frustration.
And the flags fall. So Natron refried Means. Touchdown from the 7. And guess what it is? It actually is a touchdown. We can confirm the Chargers have scored at home this year. On the end around, Montana. Look at Joe leading it. Look at Joe with the block. To spring Fred Jones. Then a rare occurrence, an interception against Joe. Darren Carrington does the job. And the Chiefs are stymied Montana's first interception in 3 years. I know he didn't play a lot of those years, but so what? It still looks good up there. 2-minute drill for Joe. Into the first half. 15 yards to J.J. Burton. Montana to Keith Cash. Money for 20 yards. Then Mr. Automatic. Nick Lowry, 37 yards out. I know we don't show many field goals, but we wanted to show this one. And it's 10-7 Schottenheimer's team at the half. 3rd quarter. Chargers go to the air from their own end zone. Freeze. To Anthony Miller. Oh, he tries to make the catch. He doesn't get down.
Another one of the great receivers in this league. Look at him get up over Kevin Ross to make that catch.
So the Chargers driving. This time they give us to number 35, Marion Butts, for 10 yards. But guess what? Holding San Diego. So John Carney, good night, everybody. It's blocked by Neil Smith. San Diego special teams do redeem themselves. Darian Gordon, first-round pick from Stanford. Look at him dart. Look at him juke. Look at him move. Look at him go. All the way down. He could go all the way. But he doesn't. Still a good play. 54 yards down to the 4. Freeze to Miller. Touchdown. Chargers lead it 14-10. But guess what? You're going to ask Joe Montana. You're going to try and stop Joe Montana. A few minutes to go. With a chance for his team to win the game? Montana to Willie Davis, 11 yards. Marty even excited. 3 plays later. Statue of Liberty to Marcus Allen. You got to be kidding me. He goes down to the 1. Next play. Marcus. 7th on the all-time touchdown list. He has 103. The Chiefs Neil Smith and company fired up. Joe Montana's 27th fourth-quarter comeback in his career. And the Chiefs are 5-1, sitting alone atop the AFC West. They beat the Chargers 17-14. Last year's division champs have fallen all the way to 2-4. When we return, game balls. I mean, we mean serious game balls. Giants. We give out a lot of them. Stay with us.
You know, there's one thing that most sporting...
Giants offensive line. Coach Pete Mangorian and company look at Cratch and Riesenberg and Cross. William Roberts pull, and yeah, nobody touches Tillman. Cratch, Riesenberg, Brian Williams, Jumbo Elliott, William Roberts. I know Bart really didn't play much today, but you get one too, Bart. 210 yards rushing today, 199 last week, 409. He's real fine, my 409. My game balls go to the Giants offensive line. Robin?
Well, Chris, remember in week 1 I gave Pat Swilling my first game ball. He didn't see much action today because of a bad ankle, but his teammate Chris Spillman came up big. You're getting Chris Warren from behind the line. A huge day for Spillman in the Lions' victory over Seattle. 12 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. That's why Chris Spillman gets my game ball, TJ.
And my game ball goes to maybe the player of the day playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's Rod Woodson taking the deflection off Derek Brown. That's interception number 6 for him. He runs that one 63 yards for his first TD of the year. And then we see the whole package from Rod Woodson. The great concentration as he picks off Wade Wilson over on the sideline. That's his 7th INT that leads the NFL. You see the Pittsburgh Steelers fans appreciate his effort. And there you see the numbers. He can hurt you in a lot of ways. We'll be right back.
Right now, you can...
NFL Primetime has been brought to you by McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
We go inside the numbers. There were no 300-yard passers in Week 7. 100-yard receivers again. Michael Irvin for $168. Ricky Prohl Shampoo had a big game for the Cards. Anthony Miller in a loss for the Chargers was outstanding on the 100-yard honor roll. You know what? We'd like to give out one other game ball. The team was idle this weekend, so what the heck? Don Shula remarried today, married Mary Ann. We want to wish Don, Mary Ann, the best. And, oh, by the way, with the Saints falling today, the last undefeated team knocked from the ranks of the NFL, all those 72 Dolphins that keep the champagne on ice, they're calling each other this evening, toasting each other. Yes, they are still the only undefeated team in the history of the NFL, 72. Congratulations, Coach. You're still there. For Tom and Robin, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching NFL Primetime.
It's...